When you think of fall gardens, what comes to mind? Pumpkins, apples, probably the things that you associate with a Thanksgiving dinner, right? But in reality, lots of things can actually grow well in the fall. It's really just a matter of timing and picking the right plants. Last week I made a video of my top 15 plants to grow in the fall. And this week I want to talk about when is the best time to be planting them if you want a fall garden this year. For those of us who live in cooler climates, it can feel like the gardening season is gone so fast. Like spring was here one minute, you know, the excitement of spring bulbs and the warmer weather, and then bam, gone. It's like, where did summer go? Where did spring go? And it was really when I started embracing eating with the seasons that I understood the importance of growing or gardening with the seasons as well. Because I mean, if you think about it, eating with the seasons correlates with growing with the seasons. There are some amazing farmers and gardeners all over the world who are doing really awesome things as far as like season extension and growing year round no matter where they live. And today I want to talk about how you can extend your own growing season with a fall garden. Now, if you're brand new to gardening, you may not want to start here. I do have some other videos that you might want to check out if you are brand spanking new to gardening. But if you've been growing for a while and you want to just extend your growing season, make it feel like the gardening season isn't so short, then I think a fall garden is going to be really doable for you. So I want to talk about when is the best time to be planting a garden for you, planting a fall garden for you specifically in your own climate. So how do you know when it's the right time to plant for fall for you? That's the challenging part, really. There's no one right time for everyone, and that's really where it starts to get confusing. There's no like what to plant in July or what to plant in August that is going to work for every single person watching this video. And it's not even as simple as like what to plant in July or August in zone 6 or zone 7. There's actually more to it than that, and that's really what I want to get to the bottom of here. There are two pieces of information that you're going to want to know when you're deciding when you want to have a fall garden or when you want to start planning or planting for a fall garden. The first is your first frost date, and that is when the nights start dipping below freezing in the fall. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is how long it takes the particular plant that you want to grow, how long does it take for it to grow? So how many days does it take for that plant to get to pretty much full growth? And those two things are really what you need to know to be able to know when you're going to plant for your fall garden. Now, this could be an endless topic if I go on about every single possible plant that you could put into your garden. So I'm going to specifically focus on the 15 fall plants that I talked about in my last video. And we're going to talk about when is the best, how to know when to plant those particular plants. I'm going to give you the manual way to do it, which is the old-fashioned way, which is using things like a seed packet and getting the information from there and kind of doing the math for yourself. And then, of course, I'm going to talk about how to do it in a garden planning app, because that is, as you're going to see as we go through it, it's a whole lot easier. It just takes away all the manual effort when you use that. But I want to show you both ways so you can make an informed decision for yourself of which one sounds like the right choice for you. So there's two things you need to know. You need to know when your first frost date is, so when the temperatures start dipping below freezing in the fall, which for some of us it can be as early as like August, September, and for others in more southern climates it could be November or December. There's a huge range of when it could be, and it really just depends on where you live. And it's not the same as the growing zone. So one growing zone can have many different first frost dates. That they're actually totally unique numbers. So in this equation, in this case, we're not thinking about growing zones, so kind of just put that beside to the side for now. We're just looking at a date. So you're looking for a specific date that on average in the last, 30 years or so, that is on average when your climate starts dipping below freezing again. So you're gonna need to find that date. I'm gonna have a link down below on where you can get your date. And then what you wanna do is for every single plant that you're thinking about growing this fall in your fall garden, you wanna look at how long it takes for each plant to mature. So on a seed packet, or you can Google it certainly, we're talking about the manual way, so if you want to do this manually, you would need to look up how long it takes for a plant to mature. So on a seed packet, there's a bunch of different numbers here. This one tells me, this is carrots. Carrots are a really good option for fall. this matures in 72 days. So let's say your first frost was October 31st, okay? What you would do is you would say October 31st minus 72 days would be around when you would want to plant this in your garden, okay? That's like what most people do. Now, I actually would take it a step further and add in the number of days that it takes to germinate, right? Because you know, you get a packet of seeds and it takes time for the seed to turn into a little sprout and appear like on top of the ground. It's typically 72 days from then. So what I would do in this case, it says this seed takes 10 to 20 days to sprout, which is kind of long, but carrots take a long time to sprout. I would say October 31st minus 72 days minus 10 or 20 days. So October 31st minus 82 days or 92 days would be the date that I would aim for to plant carrots in my garden. If I wanted to plant something like Swiss chard, then I would do the same thing. So I would say October 31st minus, in this case, 50 days to get full-size Swiss chard in my garden. And that would be the date that I would want to plant. And then of course you could add in those days to germination days to sprout or germination if you wanted to. So write a list of all the plants that you want to grow. Put in how many days it takes for that plant to harvest, and then do the math. So your first frost date minus those number of days would be the date that you would want to plant in your garden. Now you can plant before that date. It's not to say that it's a hard date. It's just if you go too far beyond that date, like let's say you needed to plant something by August 31st, right? So it needed 2 months to grow. If you waited until like mid to end of September, you probably won't get a full-size plant. Now you can still try it and see how that works for you, and I would make a note if you want. I mean, I think it's really nice to have some sort of a gardening journal and have a log of sort of when you do things and keep track, and you can learn for yourself on what works well for you. But I wouldn't wait too far beyond that date, or you just might not get a full-size plant. So as you can see, it's kind of a labor-intensive process to do that way. That is why in our garden planning app, we have all of this done for you. In fact, our fall gardening feature is our new feature. So I want to show you for the rest of the video, I actually want to talk about all of the 15 plants that I talked about in my last video. So my favorite fall plants to grow in your garden, when exactly you would plant them. So as you can see, it's really just about 2 dates to determine when you should be planting your fall garden. Your first frost date in the fall and how long it takes for that plant to grow. Now I did focus on seeds specifically. In the garden planner you can choose if you want to start from seed or buy a plant or do all that kind of stuff, or grow seeds indoors maybe and then transplant them outside. Some people like to do that. So if you wanted to go any of those routes, there's going to be a different number of days. So I don't want to get into all of it because it's a really long conversation. I don't want to get into all that in this video. Just know that if you do want to buy transplants for your fall garden, then you're going to want to look for a different number of days. There's going to probably be a different number of days for a transplant than there is necessarily for starting something from seed. So just keep an eye on that. Seeds are certainly the most straightforward because usually the seed packet will tell you the number of days. But again, the garden planner will give you all the dates that you need. So let me know in the comments below what you're thinking, if you're thinking of having a fall garden this year, and if you are, what you're most excited about growing. I'd love to hear about it. That's it for this week, and I will see you in the next one. In the garden planner, it's happening. Now, because this can go, now, seriously, planting, oops.